Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new appointment with Learning Connects, the interviews run by the European Training Foundation to connect with the community of learners and learning professionals worldwide. Today, it's a very exciting opportunity and a very exciting topic because we are having a discussion about your stories of excellence. And indeed, the conversation is part of the campaign of February about Let's Expect Together, and in which we are exploring outstanding cases of innovation, of methodologies of teaching, cooperation, collaboration in the field of learning. But this is not all, because today's conversation is actually a premiere. It's the first time that we go live with the result of a participatory process for real, with speakers having spontaneously responded to our call for being part of the weekly conversations of Learning Connects. Because last week, at the European Training Foundation, we have shared an announcement calling for the best stories of excellence in learning on all our social media platforms and on our community open space. And here we are today with three outstanding cases from professionals in the field of learning. So I'll go straight to the distinguished guests. Evelyn Verschroeven, founder of Innovation OIC and teacher at the University of Applied Science in Belgium. Welcome, Evelyn.
Thank you. Welcome all to all the people at home.
Thank you for being with us. And welcome to Bojan Milovanovic, assistant professor at the Faculty of Civil Engineering at the University of Zagreb in Croatia. Thanks for being with us, Bojan.
Thank you for your invitation, Daria, and hello to everybody listening.
And thanks a lot also to Svetlana Belic Malinic, academic director at the Institute for Contemporary Education in Serbia. Thank you for being with us, Svetlana.
Thank you for inviting me to talk about excellence in lifelong learning.
Thanks a lot, and thanks to all of you who are following this conversation from wherever you are. As we do on a weekly basis, please do not forget and do not hesitate to let us know where you are following this conversation from, and we'll be glad to share that on screen. Say hi, tell us the city, the country, and if you have questions or comments, please step in the conversation. And last but not least, if next time you want to be a guest in our Learning Connects conversation, just don't hesitate to enroll and send your ideas on Open Space, the community of learners of the European Training Foundation. My colleague Matteo, who's helping us from background, will kindly upload the link on all the chats. So let's begin the interview, because these are your stories, not mine. And I'd like to get started with Evelyn, because today we talk about stories of excellence in lifelong learning. And I'd love to know more about your experience at the University of Applied Sciences, because among the various things that you do, and I know you do a lot of, we talk about that, I know that you are teaching entrepreneurship to electromechanics. So why is it important, and how you concretely develop your teaching program? Evelyn, over to you.
First of all, I think they invited me as a teacher at the University of Applied Science because, first of all, I was born in a family with engineers, so technology is not strange for me. And secondly, I'm a little bit a weird, maybe, docent or teacher in that group of teachers, because I also have my own way to give the courses, and I use already a long time a tech tool, so technology to support education. And I think it's really important also for those group of students to open their eyes and to let them try or discover entrepreneurship, because it are also a lot of soft skills that we all need in the future more and more. And my goal for those students is to trigger them to develop at least 2 or 3 of those entrepreneurial skills that we call them, or competences that we call them, and so that they grasp a little bit of that reality of the entrepreneur. And how I do that? Well, within my business, you have innovation OIC. It's O, it's for observation, and I is for imagination, and C is for connection. I try really to use those 3 concepts within my courses. And also for myself, it's really interesting to get a relation with my students. In fact, the University of Applied Science, it's in a region in Belgium where there are still a lot of agriculture, and there are a lot of because it are nearly all guys, men, boys. So there are a lot of sons of agricultures, or people who are working as independents within the agricultural settings. And I try to to trigger them, that they give me their own experience, and then we try to make virtual businesses out of that. So that's the way I try to implicate them, and the way to give them chances to develop their competences.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. And I think that I'll follow up later by asking you whether any of these virtual businesses have ever gone concrete into the market, and how that all worked. But before giving the floor to the next speaker, I'd like to go back for a second to the chat, because I've seen a number of messages popping up, and that's I mean, I think that if you're following this relatively often, you know this is my favorite part. So I'd like to say hello to Aklam from Egypt, to Irene from Italy, Nebojja from Serbia, Diamond from Myanmar, Larissa from Belgium, Vitali from Russia, Advoa from Ghana, Inga from Georgia, Margareta from Croatia, Olfa from Tunisia, Okafor from Germany. Wow, there's that many again, and other friends from Croatia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Egypt, and Chile. So thanks a lot for being with us wherever you are, and despite the different time zones, keep on letting us know where you are. It's great to have this feeling of the geographic scope of our conversation. Bojan, over to you now, because I know that you are a university professor in Zagreb with a focus on energy efficiency, and you have decided to implement new ways of learning, from experiment to working on real projects. How did that work? Can you share with our community your experience on the ground? Bojan.
Yeah, I think it worked perfectly because my students are, let's say, fed up. It's maybe a difficult word and a harsh word, but it's all theory, theory, theory. And in my communication with them, I get the sense that they feel that this is finally some practical work, some practice they are doing in my courses. So I like to give them real examples. I like to work with them as if they are real designers in the construction sector. You know, so they are thrown in the water, so to speak, and they have to swim out of the bloom. You know, and it's quite an experience for them. It's difficult and scary at first, but at the end of the course, at the end of the semester, I'm confident that they are satisfied with the course. And from the feedback we get, me and my colleagues who are helping in development of the course and everything, we get the feeling that it's really a refreshing way to have a university course with the university students. So I work with them on energy efficiency topics. It's, let's say, relatively new in the construction sector. It's a hot topic right now because of all the goals and the targets of the European Union and the climate protection and energy efficiency in buildings to make our buildings resilient, let's say, because everything what is going on at the moment on global scale. And I'm trying to introduce digitalization in the sector. So building information modeling or shortly BIM is also one pretty hot topic in the field at the moment. And I'm trying to combine everything and to introduce my students uh, and make them future ready, let's say.
Make them future ready by getting some experience on the ground. I'd like to flag, Bojan, that Matteo, who is supporting us from behind the scenes, is sharing now in the chat the link to BIMZ, which we will, so a project of education on building information modeling and nearly zero energy buildings. So if you'd like to know more, you have the link in the chat. And we'll get back to Bojan because there are some very interesting aspects on how to bring also these experiences straight at the doorstep of people in Croatia, which is a very fascinating and interesting aspect. I invite you to keep on sharing your questions. Let us know where you are. While I go to Svetlana, and I call you Lana, because we're talking about with you a very special category of learners, because you are the director of the Institute of Contemporary Education in Serbia, which has a very interesting focus. It is entirely devoted to professional development of teachers. So what are the excellent activities that you coordinate in the school? Let us know a bit more about that. We're very curious. Lana.
Sure. Well, our Institute for Contemporary Education is a wonderful place. We actually have 8 different centers, each dedicated to a different kind of interface that we have with the teachers. We, for example, help them with Erasmus projects, and this is our project center, and our colleagues who work internationally with the other colleagues around the world. And I think that 2 most relevant centers for our story of excellence is a Center for Professional Development of Teachers and Cambridge International Center for Professional Development Qualifications for Teachers. So we focus both nationally and internationally, and we support teachers on their journey of improvement and professional development.
Thank you very much, Lana, and I will be interested to know more as regards how things have eventually evolved, also in what you have been teaching teachers in these recent years, in which everything has been changing relatively quickly and unexpectedly from all of us. But I go back to you on that. I see that Matteo has posted the link about the Institute for Contemporary Education. So if you'd like to know more about Lana's experience and institution, you have all the resources there. I go back now for a second, and then, I will sort of freestyling very soon, so be ready for that. Going back to Bojan, because as I've just flagged, within your teaching activities, you focused a lot on the importance of awareness raising as regards climate issues, which is very much connected to energy efficiency. And you have coordinated a project for the construction of a nearly zero energy building, which has traveled throughout Croatia, and it arrived, as I anticipated, at people's doorsteps. Why this action, and why was this special? And if I don't remember wrong, you might also have maybe some pictures to share with us.
Yeah, I will talk and share some photos. I will share my screen so you can maybe just browse through the images and what we are doing in Croatia. So we constructed a small mobile facility which is nearly zero energy building and which functions as a real building. So as your house, your apartment could function with very low energy consumption, very efficient appliances, demonstrating RES sources, so renewable energy sources. You can see here on the photovoltaics, we have a heat pump, we have mechanical ventilation with heat recovery, and so on, so on, and so on. And we gather people. As you can see here, these are professionals. These are actually technicians who are learning how to install state-of-the-art heat pumps in the buildings. We are also focusing on students, so university students, as shown in these few photos, where we try to demonstrate everything related to energy efficiency, from e-mobility to green roofs to really healthy living. This Corona COVID-19 period has really made us more sensitive on the quality of internal environment we are living in. So we are trying to communicate to young people how this is important, how everything regarding the well-being of people is important, and how designers and in my case civil engineers can help, can provide healthier living environment to people. So these are few images I shared with you.
Thank you.
Regarding this mobile facility, and we made it through the Horizon 2020 project, which is called NZ Roadshow, and the exact idea was to come to people's doorsteps, as you said earlier, Daria. Why? It's because at least in Croatia, a lot of things related to energy efficiency was concentrated in the capital of Zagreb, and a lot of people from let's say smaller cities, rural area, they got the information from TV or internet or whatever. But we figured out that it's better to come to small cities, to rural areas, to show people that the thing can actually function perfectly, and the thing is nearly zero energy building. So they can invest their time, their resources, their money to, I don't know, build efficiently, to renovate their existing building or family house, whatever. And it's it has sparked quite tremendous interest also from the media and also from ordinary people, ordinary small investors who would like to build their own small family house.
Yes, when you were talking, I think that 1 second before you used that word, I felt the word inspire coming to my mind, because that's precisely what it looks like as an inspirational opportunity, both for students, for example, to imagine a professional perspective ahead of them, and also to promote changes in everyone's lives.
Yeah, actually, the Croatian name of the facility, the small house, is Musa, and actually it's muse in English. So ancient Greek goddesses of inspiration or whatever. So it's really the intention was to inspire people to get some knowledge on energy efficiency.
Thank you very much, Bojan. And for all those who'd like to know more about the Musa project, there is the link in the chat. So you're invited to click and know more. And being in line with the idea of inspiring future activities, I'd like just to go back for a second to Evelyn when she flagged that she is actually teaching entrepreneurship to students, and that there have been experiments as far as potential businesses, and I'm curious to know whether there was any follow-up, any virtual business having become concrete or having inspired students into taking any specific action.
Yeah. Well, every year there are a few students who are already an entrepreneur, because in Belgium you can have you can do the both, so that are really young people who has already their own business, and often they also learn a lot in my courses, because yeah, as an entrepreneur you're most of the time you're all alone, so it's always nice to have the possibility to discuss things with somebody else. And that's not only with me, that's with all the other students also, because often we see that those students, for example, have a business about events, and who are their clients? Other students. So they can really discuss their business with their potential clients, which can be really interesting. And for me, that's a little bit the same when I look at myself. As a business owner, I'm within educational technology. Because I teach and work for a small part in the University of Applied Science, I also have contact with my potential clients and users. So I learn a lot. And that's the opening that I want to do with them. For other, that's now the third year that I'm teaching those students. And there are a few of them who started already a business, or who became co-founder of a business. And it's often within the or within the how do you say it? Now I'm thinking in French.
We know what you mean, don't worry.
Yeah, l'entretien. Donc, so to keep the machines,
Maintenance.
maintenance. Thank you. Maintenance, of course. The maintenance of agricultural machines, or within corporates, or fabrication units who are in the region. So that are often those things that they start, or but
Thank
there
you.
are not that many. They often say, "Yeah, I will become entrepreneur, but I first will need some experience." So.
Yes, and very wisely so, in a way.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. I'll go back to you later, because I also wanted to know more about a number of different skills which you put into your teaching experience. But let me go first back to Lana, because I am aware that among the outstanding activities that you coordinate in your institute, you have developed a learning strategy which have put together parents and teachers, and has put a strong focus on social emotional competences. This looks very innovative and mostly very relevant in these recent times. Can you tell us a bit more, Lana?
Of course. Well, when the pandemic happened, I believe that none of us were prepared for changes. Changes not only in our businesses, but daily lives, and also schooling at home. And all at once, parents became teachers. They assumed these roles at home, and they needed to help their children, especially if they were too small, primary years, or even kindergarten. They had to learn how to adapt to hybrid ways of teaching. And this is why we decided to create a special strategy where the target was on parents, teachers, and students. So this is a triangle. And if you allow me, I'll just quickly share this screen infographic with you, where you're
Please.
going to be able to see this triangle. And we focused on three different sets of competencies or skills: academic competencies like metacognition, value of learning, lifelong learning, problem solving, project interdisciplinarity. And then we had, of course, digital competencies, digital literacy, research and analysis, collaboration, communication, creativity. And the third set of competencies were indeed social emotional competencies like empathy, ethical awareness, life skills, character development, collective solidarity. I'm not saying that people did not have these competencies earlier, but the new environment, which was totally different and quite stressful for all three parties in this strategy, called for actions, called for reactions to help them develop social and emotional competencies in a different environment. And so we decided to provide online different like workshops. And I'm particularly proud of our colleague who had mindfulness sessions online. Now, this was difficult for many reasons. First of all, um, it's difficult to communicate with parents and teachers and students who are on the other side of the screen because sometimes they don't want to be seen. They turn their cameras off, even mics, you know. And mindfulness was all about creating this rapport with the students, teachers, and parents. So it was a difficult period for all of them, but some very, very proud of the fact that we facilitated and somehow helped all our parents, teachers, and students to go over different traumas, different problems, you know, to keep their mental health and somehow become more resilient in these times. So, as I said, this strategy had in focus three different parties with three different sets of competencies, but it was all about education. It was all about lifelong competencies and skills that we need to be able to acquire new knowledge and new skills at these times. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lana. It's extremely interesting and inspirational, and it's true that at times the social emotional aspects are too much disregarded, and it's great that you are bringing this up in the conversation and into this discussion specifically. It would be great to know if any of our followers has had any specific experience which might be, if not similar, at least focusing on similar aspects as the one that Lana has just shared, and we thank her for that. And while Lana was speaking, it drove me, it helped me to link to one of the interesting aspects, very interesting aspects of the Evelyn's profile, because Evelyn is originally an anthropologist. Because I think we're talking about the different skills here and how we can bring different competences even into areas which look, in theory, completely far. Because what I'd like to know from you, Evelyn, is that how comes that an anthropologist has got a role in a technical learning environment? In Italian we say a fish out of the water sometimes. I don't know if that is reflected in English. I apologize in case I'm getting wrong. But Evelyn, how do your skills contribute to the learning outcomes, or is it more a matter of learning methodologies? I'm sure that also Bojan and Lana are very interested to know.
Yes. First of all, yes, I'm an anthropologist, but I told already that I was born within a family of engineers and tech people, so that was not uh, so much difference for me. And I was always already as a person very curious about things that were not normal or were other than me. So that's one thing. Um, it helps me a lot because one of the one of the most important methods of an anthropologist is participated observation. So, of participative observation. So, observe the other. And in fact, it's the first thing that we use as a method also as a child. When we learn, we observe, and it's not only seeing, but it's using all your senses, and then you try and you will learn. And I use it, and I try also to provoke that method with other people, if it's at the school or in other organizations. When I'm working with learning communities, that's quite important. And it's important to think about how that we learn, and what are the easiest way or easiest methods that are most natural for us. Because in fact, if we see at our society, everything becomes more and more transactional. uh, Transactional, for you do something for me and I will give you something, or we call it also within the education, we call it also conditioning. So to engage people, we condition them, the dog of Pavlov, everybody knows that. But then we are losing a great opportunity, and that is not connecting with people, because we are too much connected, but relating with people, build up relationships, and that's much more important. And relationship is different from a connection, and now I'm really talking as an anthropologist, because a relationship, you take the commitment of the task for somebody else. So you will commit yourself to help somebody else within the group to have some learning outcomes. Now, if you want to do that, the first step that you need to do, that is to reflect on yourself, to know yourself well, so you can give yourself a position within the group of people you are. And you know what you can give to the other ones, and you will know also what you can get from the other ones. And in fact, that is the central method that I use, because I'm convinced that if you use that and you are passionate as a teacher or a mentor or a coach or whatever, that you will you put on the flame at the learners and they will learn. And if you do that by using problem-based learning techniques, or if you do that ex cathedra, you will trigger them. So it's your passion, your enthusiasm, and some basic methods of observation and working with relationships.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. And I very much very much seen while you flagged so enthusiastically the word passion for teaching, that both Lana and Bojan were nodding at you, because that one of the common in this conversation is that the three of you, and me included, of course, but I'm not a guest, are very much engaged into what you're doing. Bojan, following up on what you flagged earlier on as regards the innovative methodologies which you are using in your teaching activities, and also these muza, this muse, trying to inspire on energy efficiency and nearly zero energy building. Are you aware of any professional development or any concrete follow-up by some of your students? Have you seen some of them really taking that path for real in their lives?
Yeah, definitely. Uh, Not one of them or two of them, but a lot of them. And it's like Evelyn said earlier. That's why I was nodding, and that's why the news is on the table today. It's about the passion you bring out of the people. So if they feel they can relate to any topic, they will find it easier to learn about it. And definitely, I'm in contact with quite a lot of my former students that are dealing with energy efficiency. Some of them working in, let's say, ministries right now, so working on development of legislation even. Some of them working in the field, some of them teaching even. So a lot of people went on and took on the inspiration I tried to transform to them, or how do you say, translate to them. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bojan. Before giving the floor back to Lana, I'd like to, for a second, to go back to the chat, because while you were speaking, we had received a number of hello messages. So I'd like to keep the promise. So hello to Humayun from Bangladesh, Manuele from Florence, and Cyrillic. Parajat Parakat, sorry, from Uzbekistan, and Igberaja from Nigeria. Thank you for being with us. And if you have any comments or questions, to let us know. I see that there is a question from Ernest, who is asking whether we are at the ETF organize free webinars for improving skills in English. This is something which we don't do, but we very much invite you to keep on following these conversations. And there should be auto-generated captions, so at least on some platforms, so that could make maybe it's a bit easier for you to join in. We try to be as inclusive as we can, of course. And thanks for being with us. Lana, when you were talking earlier on, at some point, Evelyn sent a message saying that she felt it was great that you were bringing the outside in, and talking about the fact that very often schools are too much isolated. So you're very much about connecting, because I know that you are co-organizing a regional event which is called the Balkan Education Summit, which will take place from the 21st to the 24th of March and will involve teachers from the Western Balkans and beyond. So why is this initiative particularly important, and very importantly, is it also accessible to all?
Yes, well, this is a wonderful initiative, and I'm so very proud because Balkan Education Summit is a joint effort. It's not just an event organized by our Institute for Contemporary Education, but also supported by Link Group, Education Alliance, Osiris Educational, and World Education Summit. So Balkan Education Summit is actually on the margins and one of the stages of the World Education Summit. And it's very important to understand that Balkan Education Summit brings together people from the Western Balkans, teachers, educators, kindergarten teachers, policymakers. They're all coming together at this greatest ever regional conference on education. So we're going to have representatives coming over from the Balkan countries, and they're going to have a wonderful opportunity to present in their own language, which I think is very important today in this globalization. But we're also going to have guest speakers, and they're coming from all parts of the world, from Australia, Switzerland, Singapore, Estonia, Finland. So it's wonderful to see that they're also coming here to share their best practices and best case studies to showcase their learning opportunities. And Balkan Education Summit, along with the World Education Summit, is going actually to host more than 400 presentations on 10 different stages over a period of 4 days. But what I think is also very important for lifelong learning and for professional development is that everyone who comes to the summit itself is going to have a 1-year access to all the presentations that are going to be recorded during these 4 days. So it's a treasure box, a wonderful opportunity to learn from and learn with the best people in the world in education, and to somehow appreciate the time and the effort they put, so that they can innovate in their classrooms and reinvent their pedagogies after this wonderful opportunity of learning.
Thank you very much, Lana. I know that my colleague Matteo has put in the chat the link. So if anyone is willing to know more, there is the link to the Balkan and the World Education Summit in our chat. And it is indeed a pleasure for us, for me as the ETF, not only to present the activities which we are running, but to be a hub for visibility also for outstanding stories, and mainly so during this month's campaign on excellent. Evelyn, following up on the international cooperation, Lana has just flagged a number of countries involved in the Balkan Education Summit. I know that you are that you coordinate, a program which involves universities from Ethiopia and Ghana. There was a follower from Ghana earlier on, if I'm not mistaken. It was this a collaborative? Was this collaborative approach useful for improving the learning outcomes?
Yes. First of all, it was a course designed together with the University of Mekele, Ethiopia, and a University of Applied Science in Ghana. And yes, it's interesting for the students, but also for the teachers, because we have to develop that course also together. And in this yeah, you meet a lot of people, a lot of different viewpoints, and you can learn continuously one from another. And what is interesting is that also the way of teaching is different. Of course, you are in a totally different setting also. The teaching is digital, but we also have in meantime students from all over Europe, I think. But what was great, it was last year, it was also during the pandemic, of course, and students, they saw that even if they lived in in Ghana or Ethiopia, because Ethiopia, it was not only the pandemic, it was really difficult for those students because there's a civil war there at the moment. So at a certain moment, we need to provide internet over there, so a few of them could follow and discuss together with the other students. So the situation was, on one side, was really different, but all those young people, they had the same goals. They thought together how they could find solutions for problems like isolation during the pandemic, how they can improve health within the pandemic. So, and then we see that all of us, wherever we are willing to go together somewhere and to work together, and that's important, and that gives also that energy to learn from each other and to listen to each other, and that we are not that different. In fact, we are all the same. And so to go together somewhere, that's really a great thing. And it's not only with students. I work, for the rest, I work also always in international teams and groups, and that's just, yeah, that's something that gives me fire and gives me the willingness to go further and to learn every day.
Thank you, Evelyn. And indeed, for those who might be new to following the Learning Connects conversation, Learning Connects is something which was born precisely during the first wave of the pandemic. And it was created precisely to keep discussions ongoing among the community of learners, to share short-term responses and inspirations about short-term responses for teaching and learning at pandemic times, and then also to discuss about long-term solutions and developments. And it was a great opportunity for exchange, which is lasting, and we really very much welcome interventions like yours in this conversation. We're actually coming closer to the end of the discussion, and for those who joined just now, I'd like to remind that today's conversation is a very special occasion, because it is about presenting spontaneous stories of excellence in learning. And all the three distinguished speakers which are here with us today have flagged their initiatives either on the ETF social media accounts or on the ETF open space community. And I'd like to know why you have decided to flag yours and how you felt that being part of the discussions on social media or on open space is useful to you. And I'd like to begin with Bojan, and I'd like to know from you why you decided to present the outstanding initiatives which you are coordinating, and if you would encourage our followers to present theirs, now that you know what it means to be in these conversations, would you suggest to take part in future opportunities as such?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Daria, for inviting me to the talk. It's quite an enjoyable experience for me, to be honest. I was thinking it will be stressful or something, but it's quite good. And when I saw the message you posted on LinkedIn in my case, I was intrigued and actually was pushed by a colleague, Larissa, who is also here somewhere among the listeners, um, because we are really working on well in the construction field in quite sensitive areas. So it's training and upskilling of workers. It's training and upskilling of all the stakeholders, from um, school children to quite skilled professionals, architects, engineers who are in the field but still need some upskilling. And we are all doing this for more than a decade now. And we felt just to share the experience because it's quite valuable in our opinion, and it's quite important because the rate of development which is currently underway is overwhelming. I'm pretty sure for a lot of people, and all these actions and different ways of learning are quite important for people to get involved, to get closer to people, like the project of Musa, or to develop some online e-learning platforms like we are doing in BIMZ. So it's quite an effort for from all the teachers and all the people who are developing these materials, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you very much, Bojan. This is very much appreciated. I also see that in the chat there is a thank you for the time in participating in such a nice event. Thanks for the comment. Lana, do you think that this is a valuable opportunity? Would you encourage some of the followers to share their story of excellence? Because it's great to discover how lively this world is.
Yes, definitely. I'm in the first place a teacher, although I'm an academic director at the institute, and I would really encourage teachers to share their wonderful stories from the classrooms. They're somehow, unsung heroes in this pandemic, and I really think they deserve the attention and the appreciation because they went through a lot in this period. And they let's not forget that they are the people who educate the future citizens of the world. They're people who educate the game changers, decision makers, artists, engineers, everything. Like, there's this proverb saying, engineers make wonderful constructions and artists make wonderful pieces of art, but teachers make them all. So teachers are supermen and superheroes and superwomen, and I really, really think that they deserve this space to share that with the audience. I'm very excited about this opportunity to share my story and to share the story of my community and the people around me who are very, very supportive of everything we do for education, not just in Serbia, but in the whole region. So thank you once again for inviting me and, of course, the other colleagues here to present our stories of excellence.
Thank you very much, Lana, and for your inspiring words and encouraging words also for other participants to share their, or the followers to share their story. Evelyn, your call now. Would you encourage this? Do you think this is a valuable opportunity for making the community of learners grow in terms of content, inspiration, networking? Evelyn.
Yes, I think it's a great opportunity. Of course, I'm already curious about other stories and how I can learn or how we can discuss things together. So yes, please share your stories. Is it good to build up the community? Yes, I'm working also with learning communities, and I think yes, that's the first step. But we have to see that we don't stop by information sharing. We have to build knowledge also together. So then we need to have those dynamics at place, and the only way we can do it is relationships. I come again to my relationships, and but yeah, of course, the first step is to listen to each other's story. So please tell your story.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Indeed, it's not only about information sharing, but it's about creating together knowledge and spreading all that around. I'd like to remind all of the followers of the opportunities which we at the European Training Foundation are offering for exchanging information and knowledge. So beyond going on our social media platforms and engage in the conversations as you are doing today, you can join our community open space, and also you can share your story. You can express the will to share your story of excellence in learning and be our guest in one of our next Learning Connects. Not all the following, the upcoming conversations will be about spontaneous guests, but it's absolutely something which we'd love to keep going. So thanks a lot for sending your ideas. In case you are a teacher, but also in case you are a company owner who is working on improving skills, or you are a policymaker who is passionate and committed for improving the quality of skills development. There are a number of professional aspects which can be and are very much welcome to be part of these conversations. And while I thank for the last speaker, the last followers for saying hello from Bangladesh, I also take the opportunity to thank the distinguished speakers of today's discussion. So thanks a lot for being with us to Evelien Verschroeven, founder of Innovation OYC and teacher at the University of Applied Science in Belgium. Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you that I could be here and share my story.
Thank you very much. And thanks a lot to Bojan Milovanovic, assistant professor at the Faculty of Civil Engineering at the University of Zagreb in Croatia. Thank you, Bojan.
Thank you, Daria.
And thanks a lot to Svetlana Belic Malinic, academic director at the Institute for Contemporary Education in Serbia. Thank you, Svetlana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I once again invite all the teachers to join us for the Balkan Education Summit and the World Education Summit and enjoy a whole year of professional development and lifelong learning.
Thank you very much to the three of you. Thanks a lot to all of you who have been following live from all over the. Thanks a lot to the super valuable support of my colleague Matteo, who is helping us behind the scenes, and see you very soon for another Learning Connects conversation. Thank you very much and have a good day wherever you are.